Hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Current Affairs MCQs. Let's start with previous day's practice question. The question was, consider the following statements. 1. He was inspired by the teachings of Ramakrishna Paramahansa and Swami Vivekananda. 2. He passed the Indian Civil Service exam in 1920 but resigned in 1921 to join the Indian freedom struggle. 3. In 1938, he was elected Congress President at the Haripura session. Which of the following personalities best matches the above description? Subhash Chandra Bose, Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, C. Rajagopalachari. The correct answer is option A, Subhash Chandra Bose. Born in 1897 in Cuttack, now in Odisha, then in Bengal, to Janakinath and Prabhavati Bose, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose was raised in a family that valued English education and Hindu customs. He was inspired by the teachings of Ramakrishna Paramahansa and Swami Vivekananda, as well as the themes of Bankim Chandra Chatterjee's Anandamath. He developed a unique synthesis of Western and Indian cultures focused on India's freedom and revival. Subhash Chandra Bose passed the Indian Civil Service exam in 1920 but resigned in 1921 to join the Indian freedom struggle. In 1921, Netaji met Mahatma Gandhi in Bombay but disagreed with his approach to independence, particularly his patience and commitment to non-violence. In 1938, Netaji was elected Congress President at the Haripura session and advocated for Swaraj and opposed an Indian Federation under the Government of India Act 1935. Hence, option A is the correct answer. Let's begin today's session. The first question is, regarding the critical minerals, consider the following statements. 1. The Ministry of Mines has identified antimony, beryllium, and graphite among the 30 critical minerals essential for national security. 2. Khanij Bidesh India Limited has been established to secure domestic investments in critical minerals. 3. The Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Amendment Act of 2023 declassified certain rare earth elements, removing them from the list of atomic minerals. How many of the statements given above is or are correct? Only 1, only 2, all 3, none. The correct answer is option B, only 2. The Ministry of Mines identified 30 critical minerals that are deemed essential for national security, hence statement 1 is correct. These minerals are antimony, beryllium, bismuth, cobalt, copper, gallium, germanium, graphite, hafnium, indium, lithium, molybdenum, niobium, nickel, PGE, phosphorus, potash, REE, rhenium, silicon, strontium, tantalum, tellurium, tin, titanium, tungsten, vanadium, zirconium, selenium, and cadmium. A joint venture company, namely Khanij Bidesh India Limited, has been incorporated with the equity contribution from 3 central public sector enterprises, namely National Aluminium Company Limited, Hindustan Copper Limited, and Mineral Exploration Company Limited to identify and acquire overseas mineral assets of critical and strategic nature, such as lithium, cobalt, and others, to ensure supply-side assurance. Hence, statement 2 is not correct. Kabil has engagements with countries like Argentina, Australia, etc. to acquire critical and strategic minerals assets. Parliament passed the Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Amendment Act 2023, lifting restrictive classifications on some rare earth elements that used to be considered atomic minerals. Hence, statement 3 is correct. Hence, option B is the correct answer. Next, which of the following is not a feature of an oligarchy form of government? Power rests with a small group of people. Public has significant influence on political decisions, concentration of wealth among a select group, or exclusivity in access to governing power. The correct answer is option B. Public has significant influence on political decisions. Oligarchy is a form of government where power is concentrated in the hands of a small group of individuals. The ruling group may be identified by factors such as nobility, wealth, education, fame, or control over corporate, religious, political, or military institutions. Key characteristics include exclusivity with barriers to joining the ruling class, concentration of wealth within a small group, and limited political influence from citizens. In an oligarchy, the general public has limited or no significant influence on political decisions, as power is concentrated in the hands of a small, exclusive group distinguished by factors like wealth, nobility, or military control. Hence, option B is the correct answer. Next, consider the following statements. 1. It is Uttar Pradesh's only national park. 2. It is the only place on the planet inhabited by 5 deer species. 3. It is also home to the Bengal tiger and the endangered Indian one-horned rhinoceros. Which of the following national parks best matches the above description? Dudhwa National Park, Jim Corbett National Park, Rajaji National Park or Valmiki National Park? The correct answer is option A, Dudhwa National Park. The Dudhwa Tiger Reserve is a protected area in Uttar Pradesh located on the India-Nepal border. It stretches mainly across the Lakhimpur Kheri and Bharej districts. It is the state's only national park. It comprises of Dudhwa National Park, through which Suheli and Mohana streams flow, Kishanpur Wildlife Sanctuary, through which the Sharda River flows, and Katarnia Ghat Wildlife Sanctuary, through which Gerua River flows. All of these rivers are tributaries of the Ghagra River. It is unique for hosting 5 species of deer, including the swamp deer. It is also home to Bengal tigers and the endangered Indian one-horned rhinoceros, making it ecologically significant. Hence, option A is the correct answer. Next, regarding the shrimp farming, consider the following statements. 1. Andhra Pradesh is the largest shrimp producer state in India, which accounts for 70% of India's shrimp output. 2. All shrimp units in India are registered with MPEDA, that is Marine Products Export Development Authority, and FSSAI, Food Safety and Standards Authority of India. 3. In India, shrimp units do not follow a HACCP, that is Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Point based food safety management system. How many of the statements given above are not correct? Only 1, only 2, all 3, none. The correct answer is option A, only 1. A shrimp is a crustacean, a form of shellfish, characterized by a semi-transparent body flattened from side to side and a flexible abdomen terminating in a fan-like tail. Shrimp farming is about raising shrimp in controlled environments such as ponds, tanks, or raceways for human consumption. India is one of the world's largest shrimp exporters. Andhra Pradesh is the largest shrimp producer state in India, which accounts for 70% of India's shrimp output. Hence, statement 1 is correct. All shrimp units are registered with MPEDA, that is Marine Products Export Development Authority, and FSSAI, that is Food Safety and Standards Authority of India. Hence, statement 2 is correct. Shrimp units follow a HACCP-based food safety management system as per the US Code of Federal Regulations. Hence, statement 3 is not correct. Hence, option A is the correct answer. Next, regarding citizenship, consider the following statements. 1. From the time of the Motilal Nehru Committee, the Indian leadership favored the concept of jus soli. 2. Citizenship is listed in the Union list under the Constitution and thus is under the exclusive jurisdiction of Parliament. 3. The Constitution does not define the term citizen, but details of various categories of persons who are entitled to citizenship are given in Part 2. How many of the statements given above is or are correct? Only 1, only 2, all 3, none. The correct answer is option C, all 3. Citizenship signifies the relationship between the individual and the state. From the time of the Motilal Nehru Committee, the Indian leadership favored the enlightened concept of jus soli. Hence, statement 1 is correct. While jus soli confers citizenship on the basis of place of birth, jus sanguinis gives recognition to blood ties. Citizenship is listed in the Union list under the Constitution and thus is under the exclusive jurisdiction of Parliament. Hence, statement 2 is correct. The Constitution does not define the term citizen, but details of various categories of persons who are entitled to citizenship are given in Part 2, Articles 5 to 11. Hence, statement 3 is correct. Unlike other provisions of the Constitution, which came into being on 26 January 1950, these articles were enforced on 26 November 1949 itself, when the Constitution was adopted. Hence, option C is the correct answer. Next, regarding the Atomic Energy Regulatory Body, consider the following. 1. It regulates safety compliance by establishing and enforcing standards, codes, and guidelines for nuclear facilities under the Department of Atomic Energy and non-DAE jurisdictions. 2. It advises the Atomic Energy Commission and Department of Atomic Energy on nuclear plant siting, design, construction, and operations to minimize risks to personnel and the public. 3. It reviews safety practices and submits periodic and annual reports to the Atomic Energy Commission. How many of the statements given above is or are not correct? Only 1, only 2, all 3, none. The correct answer is option D, none. The Atomic Energy Regulatory Board shall have powers to lay down safety standards and frame rules and regulations regarding the regulatory and safety requirements envisaged under the Atomic Energy Act 1962. The functions of the Atomic Energy Regulatory Board shall be 2. It regulates safety compliance by establishing and enforcing standards, codes, and guidelines for nuclear facilities under the Department of Atomic Energy and non-DAE jurisdictions. Hence, the statement 1 is correct. It advises the Atomic Energy Commission and Department of Atomic Energy on nuclear plant siting, design, construction, and operations to minimize risks to personnel and the public. Hence, statement 2 is correct. Send reports periodically to Chairman AEC on safety status, including observance of safety regulations and standards and implementation of the recommendations in all DAE and non-DAE units. It will also submit an annual report of its activities to the Chairman AEC. Hence, statement 3 is correct. Hence, option D is the correct answer. Next, regarding the World Health Organization, consider the following statements. 1. Established in 1948, it is a specialized agency of the United Nations. 2. World Health Assembly is the highest decision-making body of WHO and comprises only the top 5 donor states. 3. The United States is a founding member of WHO and is also its biggest financial backer. How many of the statements given above is or are correct? Only 1, only 2, all 3, none. The correct answer is option B, only 2. The World Health Organization, founded in 1948, is a UN agency dedicated to promoting global health, ensuring safety and supporting vulnerable populations for universal well-being. Hence, statement 1 is correct. The World Health Assembly is the WHO's highest decision-making body consisting of representatives from all member states. Hence, statement 2 is not correct. The Secretariat implements the policies and programs approved by the WHA. The Director General leads the WHA and is supported by a senior management team. The United States is a founding member of WHO and is also its biggest financial backer, contributing around 18% of its overall funding. Hence, statement 3 is correct. Hence, option B is the correct answer. Next, the Global Tuberculosis Report 2024 was recently released by which of the following? United Nations Development Programme, World Health Organization, International Union Against Tuberculosis and Lung Disease, Global Fund to Fight AIDS, Tuberculosis and Malaria. The correct answer is option B, World Health Organization. According to the World Health Organization's Global Tuberculosis Report 2024, India continues to lead in the global TB burden and is also the hub for drug-resistant TB and TB deaths. India has achieved a notable 17.7% decline in tuberculosis incidence from 2015 to 2023. This decline, exceeding the global average of 8.3%, underscores India's unwavering commitment to eliminating TB by 2025 under the National Tuberculosis Elimination Programme. Hence, option B is the correct answer. Next, regarding the Election Commission of India, consider the following statements. 1. It is an autonomous statutory authority responsible for administering union and state election processes in India. 2. 25th January marks the anniversary of the establishment of the ECI and is observed as National Voters' Day. 3. Originally, the Commission had only one election commissioner, but after the Election Commissioner Amendment Act 1989, it was made a multi-member body. How many of the statements given above is or are not correct? Only 1, only 2, all 3, none. The correct answer is option A, only 1. The Election Commission of India is an autonomous constitutional authority responsible for administering union and state election processes in India. Hence, statement 1 is not correct. 25th January marks the anniversary of the establishment of the ECI and is observed as National Voters' Day. Hence, statement 2 is correct. The body administers elections to the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha and state legislative assemblies in India and the offices of the President and Vice President in the country. It is not concerned with the elections to panchayats and municipalities in the states. For this, the Constitution of India provides for a separate state election commission. Part 15th deals with elections and establishes a commission for these matters. Originally, the commission had only one election commissioner, but after the Election Commission Amendment Act 1989, it was made a multi-member body. Hence, statement 3 is correct. Hence, option A is the correct answer. The last question is, consider the following. 1. Alag Committee. 2. Lakdawala Committee. 3. Tendulkar Committee. Which of the following fields is most closely associated with the above-mentioned committees? Poverty estimation in India, agricultural reforms, electoral reforms, or environmental protection? The correct answer is option A, poverty estimation in India. Alag Committee, a task force constituted by the Planning Commission under the chairmanship of Y.K. Alag, constructed a poverty line for rural and urban areas based on nutritional requirements and related consumption expenditure. Poverty estimates for subsequent years were to be calculated by adjusting the price level for inflation. Lakdawala Committee, task force chaired by D.T. Lakdawala based on the assumption that the basket of goods and services used to calculate Consumer Price Index industrial workers and Consumer Price Index agricultural laborers reflect the consumption patterns of the poor. Tendulkar Committee 2009. An expert group constituted by Planning Commission and chaired by Suresh Tendulkar was constituted to review the methodology for poverty estimation. Hence, option A is the correct answer. Now it's time for the practice question. Consider the following statements. Statement 1. A farmer-producer organization is supported by the Small Farmers Agribusiness Consortium to enhance collective bargaining, achieve economies of scale, and improve farmers' income and market access. Statement 2. Farmer-producer organizations need at least 300 members for NAB Sanrakshan and 500 for SFAC credit guarantee schemes with exemptions for northeast and hilly regions. Which one of the following is correct in respect of the above statements? Both statements are correct and statement 2 is the correct explanation for statement 1. Both statements are correct and statement 2 is not the correct explanation for statement 1. Statement 1 is correct but statement 2 is incorrect. Statement 1 is incorrect but statement 2 is correct. Send the answer to this question in the comment section. Stay tuned for the next episode. Thanks for watching.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.